because they tell us two things in this world are certain: death and taxes.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I'll just make reference to the Bible that says we ought to pay. So being a Christian, I think it's something that is agreed. And if you speak to many Kenyans, they'll say they understand that government needs to resource, and there are quite ambitious development goals we have at country level, at the African level, internationally. There are many commitments we have put in regards to providing social economic rights. So when we talk about taxation, we are not talking about it in a vacuum, but we are looking at this as a pathway to provide essential public health, which then would address the issues we are seeing around youth, our girls, our women. Are they accessing reproductive health rights? When you look at children and equality, we know that the right to education does even ensure that a country is set in a good place to have a workforce that can, be able to develop. So all of these things that is agreed, we must resource. I think the problem then becomes what we have mentioned amongst ourselves here. It's an accountability issue. So if you want to foster a good working relationship between the taxman and the taxpayers, it's the prudence in utilization of the funds. So I feel that KRA is cleaning up and mopping because of the shortcomings from the executive in terms of usage. So if you were to use however much KRA rebrands and call itself whatever they would want to call themselves, but we still feel that there is wastage, which is not within their control as the revenue authority, because their mandate is very clear. Collect, we channel this to the executive to be able to provide essential services, and to the legislature to be able to oversight. So that means that we need to look, as the president needs to understand that what he ought to have discussed so much on that day is not the corruption from the revenue authority staff members only, but the corruption from his own government, corruption even from our own elected leaders who we are taking back this finance bill to discuss. Because we can't shy away from the fact that we are expecting them to do magic around discussing the finance bill, but we also are alive to their own audit reports of so many things, a lot of illegalities. When we've seen the pushback on even the NGC CDF, people are really angry as elected leaders because we are trying to say what the Constitution says, that Parliament ought to do oversight and not implementation, because then you become conflicted. So if the elected members of Parliament are waiting for allocations on CDF, do you think they are going to side with you on the finance bill? So I think there are ground rules that if we are trying to answer the question on how Parliament will decide, we need to ensure that our structures give them even that room, but they are so conflicted at times that it's difficult to do that. So anyway, just to answer what you mentioned, I think the president is looking at the wrong side of things. It's not about rebranding. With all due respect, the thing is around accountability. We are comfortable. I have paid taxes since I was formally employed. I know I've been paying it through value-added tax. I know it is a way also of redistribution. There are people who don't have what some of us are privileged to have. So if you look at tax also as a justice issue, a tax justice issue, we must pay our fair share. I'm in agreement that we must bring more people into the tax bracket. But we shouldn't bring more people into the tax bracket. We're not addressing corruption, because it then means you're expanding, but there are too many holes. So it will never lead us to more taxes. So let us expand, because it's a tax justice. I, being formally employed, totally feel bad when I look sometimes at people in the informal sector who are not paying their fair share of tax and relying on essential public services that we are paying for. So this conversation, even as we speak around finance bill, I think as civil society players, as advocates, we also need to speak to citizens and say, we are not against the finance bill in the sense that it is trying to expand and bring others, because remember, at regional and everywhere, the way people do business, the way people hold property keeps evolving. So our laws then need to keep evolving to be able to bring them in. But my hope was, as we expand, then we can be able to reduce tax rates. So as we expand, are we also exploring reducing tax rates? So, but now when you look at the proposals from some of the finance bills saying anyone earning more than 500,000, we then pay as you earn as 35,000. So we have put a threshold of 500,000 as someone who's wealthy. That's not. I think in Kenya we have totally underpaid people. If you look at even our minimum wages, say for top level public and state officers, Most people in Kenya are underpaid, and that's why you see most of our people going to other countries. So we have underpaid them so much that we feel a normal pay is a rich person. That is not. And we have done reports as National Taxpayers Association, very keen on taxing wealth. And we put thresholds, and the threshold was never 500,000. We're looking at 1 million and above, because then you need to also be able to ensure that people feel rewarded for work. I heard from the submissions before Parliament that work is not a punishment. But right now it's like when you're working and being productive, government would want to punish you by paying you more tax. But we work not to be able to just give government money. We work to be able to provide safety nets to our children where government itself has failed. And I think the reason people are averse to paying tax is because we are essentially double paid. I will provide, I will pay my taxes, NHIF. I will never get medicine. I will be told, go to the pharmacy, an extra outside pharmacy, private pharmacy to get my medicine, go to a different lab to get my medicine. So then you see, I am paying it by providing my own services. I do not know the last time that government itself provided in terms of garbage collection next to my place. I procure it at my own cost. And allow me to just also look at, even when you look at rental tax, where we are saying that property owners should pay because they are wealthy. But remember, most again of these property owners, I am a strong advocate of tax justice, but we need to be unbiased advocates. You look at someone who has a unit, say in Kasarani, the person doesn't have water. They have to bring water with they have to buy it for their tenants. Yeah. So those are costs that if you want these people to pay tax, why would someone pay tax as a landlord when the drainage right outside where his tenants are, there is no water? So I think when you're looking at taxation, you must demonstrate as government that there is a bit of value. So if it's rental, let you show that you're providing water, you're providing ABC. So in essence, what we are telling our government, taxation is agreed. We are not arguing about the importance of financing for development, and that he has made it clear. He needs money to run the country. But with the very same words and strong words, he must tell us that there is accountability. Let us see audit reports changing. And I think this is a critical time also for we as civil society, for citizens to say, we are going to pay tax, but under these conditions. Can we have conditions and say, audit, you must commit that audit reports, 50% of the audit reports will need to change in the next 1 year before you bring another finance bill. We need then to totally disengage all funds that elected leaders are having, whether it is Ward Fund, whether it is NGC, CDF, whether it is Women Fund. These are all funds that if put together can provide essential services and free legislators to look at the core. When we are talking about 1,000 submissions, they will not get time to look at those 1,000 submissions if they are also looking at the projects they need to give at their own county. So we are giving them time to look at our because we do pay them a lot of money if you look at the things we are offering. So we also expect that they concentrate within this period. 1,000 submissions also is not so much, because if you all come together and are looking at them and also look at the critical discussion we are having, I think it's not expecting too much for them to look, because even the quality that has gone in from the people who've submitted then requires that there's also quality engagement with those provisions. Otherwise, then we would kill the momentum of what people will, because it will be the question of, we participated so strongly in the 2023 finance bill and other related laws. What came out of it? So if we do not manage this situation well, we might go back to the time where no one really would want to engage on the finance bill.
All right. Irene, you clearly feel very strongly on these matters.